Well, it's a beautiful sunny afternoon, and this is a very tranquil beach. And it's strange because those hills across there, well, that's the Lake District, one of the most visited parts of the British Isles. And this stretch of water is the Solway Firth. That puts me in southwest Scotland, in Dumfries and Galloway, which is a really quiet corner of Scotland, a place that still feels wild. On my journey along the beautiful coastline, I will take in some of its stunning wildlife before heading inland to contrasting habitats and Britain's biggest forest park. And hidden deep in this woodland, I hope to catch a glimpse of one of our rarest carnivores. My final destination lies above the tree line in the spectacular open moorland of the Galloway Hills. It's like a greatest hits of natural Scotland in one short trip. I'm starting my journey on Lagmuck Sands near Castle Hill Point. What a quiet, serene piece of beach. If I closed my eyes, I could easily convince myself I was in Tasmania or Northern Australia or somewhere like that. Especially when I look at features like this reef forming on the rocks here. This is the home of the honeycomb worms that land as plankton and then grow and create these structures by cementing together bits of sand and broken shell. Once there's a colony established, the scent apparently draws others in, and you end up with what is the marine worm equivalent of a high-rise tenement block. Just a couple of miles down the shore, there is another remarkable structure, but this one is man-made. Stake nets have been used on the Solway Firth for more than 1,000 years. As the fish are carried in and out on the tide, a wall of netting guides them into traps. I join Peter Hutchinson, collecting his catch as the tide retreats. What a lovely day to come and check some nets.
It is. Warm as it goes down here.
Oh,
so
it's beautiful.
Primarily we're fishing for salmon, grilse and sea trout, but intermixed with that we've got quite a nice spread of whitefish. We've grey mullet, which are very tasty.
Very nice. So it really is a complete gamut of edible fish.
It is.
That's amazing. Is this a traditional netting spot?
This particular one goes back to 1867, but along the Solway coast, when I was a youngster, there used to be probably 50 or 60 stake net fisheries like this. Now you can probably say working fisheries, just 5 or 6.
Right.
Let's see if we've anything in the first pocket.
Yeah, why not? Oh, what have you got here? Some jellyfish.
Yeah, I'll lift the big one for the boys.
That's a marvel of nature, isn't it? They look like aliens to me.
They do indeed. You see all the petticoats on her. Now, I wouldn't be doing this with some of the ones we get later in the summer, which really do give you a nasty sting.
Really stings, yeah.
Well, it's
what have we got here? Got
a nice flounder and well made up for this time of the year, Ray. So I think we'll pop them in the net and go on and see what we've got in the next pocket.
Good.
2 little mullet.
Yep.
They're smallish, but here their flavours are tremendous because they're living off the cockles, and you can see they're quite thick-lipped, almost the detachable fronts for breaking down the mollusk shells. But quiet tide, Ray, very quiet tide.
That's a biggie. Yeah, I've heard some scientists saying that we'll all have to get used to eating jellyfish. They're worried, aren't they, about them taking over? I think I prefer mullet.
Yes. I'll have the mullet.
There's nothing better than an open fire on the beach to prepare a feast of freshly caught fish. So we're going to need a good bit of embers.
Right.
And then the cooking's really quick. Lovely.
There we are, Ray.
And I'm going to put that, everything inside it still, straight on the fire.
Oh, lovely.
That's not going to take long.
You can almost see it change colour as quickly as that, can't you? That looks about there, Ray, to me.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It looks wonderful.
And now, to enjoy it.
And that is gorgeous.
perfect,
That
isn't
is
it?
really gorgeous.
That's really, truly spectacular fish.
It certainly is.
It doesn't get much better than this, does it? And when the tide comes in, it'll do the
Brilliant.
washing up for us.
And it even cleans your plate for you.
That was absolutely delicious, but now I'm heading a little further down the coast to a very different habitat. I'm meeting Kirsty Griffiths, who is responsible locally for the conservation of Britain's rarest amphibian, the natterjack toad. This nature reserve benefits from the warming effect of the Gulf Stream, providing a perfect environment for the natterjack in spite of being so far north. But this winter's weather has put the entire population at risk.
After January, February and March, with all the high tides and the high winds, this is what's left of our sand dunes.
All gone.
Oh, it's all gone.
There would have been dunes between us and the wind farms over there.
And now there's nothing.
Staggering. The toads were hibernating in the sand when the storms rolled in. Kirsty feared the worst, but there's good news wriggling through the reserve's ponds.
So if you look down in the water, there's some little black dots swimming around, and the little ones are natterjack toad tadpoles, which is absolutely amazing because we thought they weren't going to be here. So for them to actually have spawned is an amazing accomplishment this year.
I'm keen to see the adult natterjacks, and the best time to find them is at dusk when they emerge to look for a mate.
Oh, look what I found, Ray.
That's good. Look at that.
Look at that. Oh,
Yeah, it's
hello.
squeaky. Kirsty has permission to handle this endangered species as part of her conservation work.
If you look, it's got the lovely golden stripe. And each toad actually has their own dorsal walk pattern, which is a bit like our fingertips. So you can actually go and photograph them and find out exactly how many you've got, which is absolutely fantastic.
You can identify individuals.
Yeah, and I can see this one's a male, because if you look under the chin, it's blue under the chin,
Yeah.
and it's also got some black fingernails. And what they do is they use them to hold on to the female. So this one's looking for a lady tonight.
He's quite vocal, isn't he?
He is. Well, this is the sort of time of day when they come out and they start singing for their females.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to let this one go back on his night out.
Yes, and hopefully he'll be lucky tonight and find a lady.
There you go. Really lovely to see. Beautiful. One of the things that's fascinating about conservation is just how important reserves can be. The natterjack toads survive here by miracle, really. Who knows what will happen in coming years? The more reserves we have, the better chance there is that we hold on to species. And if there's one thing I've learned over the years that I've been working with nature, is that one of the most important things that a human being can do is to act to increase and preserve biodiversity. If we lose that, we lose everything. The next stage of my journey will take me deep into the Galloway forest and closer to a very special and elusive animal. I've come to Dumfries and Galloway, an area of truly beautiful and very varied landscapes tucked away in a quiet corner of Scotland. Now I'm heading away from the shoreline and inland to Galloway Forest Park, the biggest in Britain at 300 square miles. It's been great to spend time near the water, but this is really what Galloway is all about. Huge conifer forests. They reckon there are over 1 million trees growing here. Now, while that's largely commercial forestry, it's still habitat for wildlife, and there are some real gems to be seen here. Where is he? Where is he? I'm off on the scent of one of our most elusive woodland creatures. The pine marten was once the second most common carnivore in Britain. It's now the second rarest. These mammals are part of the same family as weasels and ferrets. They live in densely wooded areas and they are notoriously shy. Johnny Burks and John Martin, with their dogs Dooley and Seller, are tracking pine marten activity in Galloway Forest Park.
Where is he? Good girl.
One of the things we do is try and detect evidence of pine martens in the form of droppings, the scats on the tracks. They tend to use these as their toilets after breakfast. They'll mark territory. Our eyes are reasonably good, but the dog's noses are so much more effective. Oh, what's she got? What's she got? What's she got?
Good girl.
Well done, well done.
What will you do now? Take a GPS reference for where that is?
GPS reference to that, yeah. And put it into a brand new clean bag for DNA analysis.
Great idea to use a dog.
Their sense of smell is just so superior. Foxes, of course, will scat in the same sort of places sometimes. So.
Can the dogs differentiate between the two?
Yeah, no trouble at all. They just don't make mistakes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Come on.
The reason we come to Galloway at this time of the year, late May, is because this is when the female martens have got their litters of kits. And last year, the Forest Commission put up 40 new den boxes, and thankfully we've got one with a litter in, we believe, and we'd like to show you what we've got inside.
That would be amazing.
Fingers crossed.
There are no more than a few dozen pine martens in the forest, but the scat on top of this box suggests it could be inhabited.
These are typical marten scats, slightly twisted,
Like they've been
dark.
squeezed out of a toothpaste
Yeah.
tube. Yeah.
Yeah, quite musty. It's not an unpleasant smell. Not like mink, polecat,
Yep,
can
absolutely.
be quite rank. These
Wow.
are, wow, to me it's heavenly. I love the scent. I love the scent of
I
marten
can't
scat.
believe we're having this conversation. This scat is evidence of a breeding female. John opens the box to discover a pair of pine marten kittens.
What always amazes me is how docile they are. And I think this is an adaptation to being born up a tree. And if danger threatens, stay still and pretend everything's okay. So it means that they're really easy to handle.
Wow, look at that. What a wonderful creature. Hello. That is amazing.
You can see the strength of those. She's drawing my hand in now. Immense strength in her front legs. Yeah. The needle-like claws. You see those claws? Are gripping those
and you've got
gloves
the
now.
5 toes, front and
Yeah,
rear.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
They really are, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I'm bored with this. So the problems they've had in the past, was that persecution?
It was two things really, double whammy. Firstly, forest clearance. It went down to less than 5% woodland cover in the late 1800s. And for a woodland specialist, that's really bad news. Then we had the Victorian and Edwardian gamekeepers came in on the act in the late 1800s, and they don't like pine martens because they're good at climbing into pheasant pens, and so that was an extra burden. In Scotland, at long last, they're doing pretty well now. Legal protection helped a lot, and then increased forest cover.
What interests me is you guys do this all the time, but the sense of wonder is never lost.
No, it's a privilege, it really is.
Really.
Time we got these back in the box, I
Yep.
think.
There we go.
That has got to be one of the neatest things I have ever seen in my travels. Pine martens are very special. They're so difficult to see. And to see those young like that, what a privilege. Quite wonderful. These dense woodlands are also home to some very impressive birds. Dumfries and Galloway is a stronghold for raptors in particular. Former woodcutter Cyril Ostroznik monitors the local population. I caught up with him checking a goshawk nest before we made our way to a nearby buzzard site. Like many birds of prey, this species has thrived as the conifer woods have grown.
I can remember when I was a child going out with my father and there was only 2 buzzards' nests. And now with this habitat that was created, man-made, And it's now perfect for all these birds, and that's how they're doing so well.
What have we got here?
You've got the buzzard in there.
Fantastic. I like
know,
buzzards.
They're lovely birds, like it.
I'll probably end up putting a head net on down here because the midges are quite bad
Quite
today.
right.
I'd watch you from down here. A midge is better up there, aren't they?
There's no many up there, no.
Yeah,
That's why I'm off.
I don't blame you.
But these birds are now facing a new problem. The Forestry Commission, responding to the spread of a deadly tree fungus, the larch disease, has had to fell vast areas of woodland. This has led to overcrowding, as there are now fewer suitable trees to nest in.
There's 3 chicks.
3 chicks.
3 chicks, yes.
So that's the adult buzzard. You can hear it calling there. That mewing call, very distinctive. Of course, that nest site is probably not the best chosen because nearby there's a goshawk nesting, and that goshawk will need to feed its chicks. It will already have seen the buzzard nest and be thinking, the moment comes, I'll have those. How big are they?
About just under 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah. Looking healthy for the food.
For how
food
long?
chain.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll last long. Everything's on the menu.
Yikes. That's nature.
I don't want to leave Galloway without trying to track down Scotland's most iconic beast, the red deer. They can be tricky to spot at this time of year. The hinds are starting to give birth, so they can be very jumpy, while the stags tend to tuck themselves away while their antlers regrow, ready for the rut in the autumn. But there is always something very special about seeing Britain's largest land mammal in the wild Scottish landscape. I need local knowledge, and Colin Lockerbie, chief stalker for Galloway's forest estate, is the man for the job.
That's beautiful country, isn't it?
It's a great place to stop. It's
Not a bad place to work.
makes my job fairly easy, to be honest. Makes me look good at the job. It's,
My understanding is that the deer here do better than perhaps in the Highlands because there's more food and more shelter.
yeah,
Perhaps a little warmer here.
yeah, and cover for them if they need to come in rougher weather as well.
So where are you expecting to see the deer today?
Yeah, there tend to be more up in the higher ground at the minute. I think if we have a walk down here, Ray, lovely scenery around
Isn't
here.
that lovely?
There's a loch just down here, but I'm fairly confident we'll see some reds around here.
The most important sense for red deer is smell, so we need to keep downwind of any animals. But they are also incredibly alert to unusual sights and sounds, so we move slowly and quietly along the edge of the tree line.
Yeah, Ray, there's a few up there. You see where you've got that brown patch, Ray, on the left? Yeah. You've got one at the bottom, one above it, yeah. Brown patch. Yeah. Come up to the right. To the right in there, I can see them from here. Oh, you got them? Yeah.
See 3 there. Quite light coloured at the moment.
Very light colour, yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting deer, isn't it? Because it really is. It's a woodland animal, but it handles the hills really well. They must like it here because they've got a little bit of both, haven't they? The security of the high ground and the cover from the weather.
Yeah.
Rugged country.
A lot of people get surprised when they come around here and see it. Don't expect it, in the Galloway Hills.
Yeah.
But to get much closer to them would be quite tricky.
Yeah.
There's a good chance as soon as we cross the open ground there, they could be off.
just take
They would
off,
just
yeah.
be off up the hill. Or we could probably get down to the...
Down there.
Down there.
Yeah.
Well, I've worked out that it's 19 years since I've been to this part of Scotland, and it's way too long. This really is a very special corner of Scotland. It's really like a miniature for the rest of Scotland because you can go from the coast to the tops of the mountains in a very short distance. I've got some great memories to take away as well, from watching the wily red deer grazing on the hillside here, to that grey mullet caught in the Solway Firth and cooked on the beach. That was really lovely. But my favourite moment has to be seeing the incredible Scottish pine marten.
Next time, I will be in the Lake District to explore the wild landscapes of the magnificent Borrowdale Valley.
That's lovely. Beautiful bird.
And I'm reminded just how tricky British rivers can be to navigate.